This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak more profitably. Launch. It's time to launch, people. You got to launch your thing. You got to launch your program. You got to launch your course. But, oh, wait a minute. You don't know how. Well, today's your lucky day because Chris Kyle is here from Launch Academy. Chris, welcome to the show.
Oh, great to be here with you, David. So excited to have this conversation with you.
So the world of online courses has just been exploding, and it's been exploding in a couple of ways. It's been exploding in popularity and creation and consumption and sales. And a lot of people listening still have no idea where to begin, what this whole online course craze is really about. Would my audience, would my prospects want to consume an online course? How do I start it? How do I market it? How do I sell it? So we have a lot to talk about. Let's start with a little bit of your personal journey. What brought you to the work that you're doing today? And what were some interesting pit stops along the way?
My journey really starts mostly in the kind of big corporate arena. So I worked for a big pharma company and marketing and all that, and then got into consulting and executive coaching, working with startups here in the Bay Area. So I was a coach and consultant, one-on-one stuff, small teams. And then one of my clients in 2009, they brought me in as a coach to help them with their strategic planning process and all that. Happened to be a company called Evolving Wisdom. And they did courses, online programs with some pretty significant named teachers, as well as the two founders. And I joined them as a consultant. And then they just said, please help us come in full time. I was really reluctant, but I joined them full time and had a great experience there. And they were launching transformative online courses with some of the world's best known teachers, Neil Donald Walsh of Conversations with God fame, and Jean Houston, kind of the grandmother of the human potential movement, and Lynn Twist, who's well known. And then, of course, Claire Zammit and Craig Hamilton, who are consider my mentors. They had an amazing company that, get this, David. So the year before I came, they were about a $250,000 company or so. The year before I came, when I left, just a little over 18 months later and moving into that next year, they were a $10 million company in 3 years, basically, and not funded, just completely bootstrapped. So I kind of got drank from the fire hose, David, and learned a lot, kind of got my PhD in online learning. And when I left the company, instead of going back to what I was doing, I said, this e-learning space is pretty freaking awesome. And I think I'm going to stay. And so I created my own business and started helping teachers launch their programs, pretty well-known teachers and organizations. And then I decided it was time to really democratize what I was doing in my model and have more aspiring teachers and authors and speakers learn the model that I learned to launch their courses. And that's when I created Launch Academy a little over 5 years ago.
And, I love, Chris, what you're talking about. A lot of people out there will say, I will teach you to create or build your course.
Yeah.
Creating and building a course, that's whatever.
That's
what
right.
people need is, how do I launch this thing?
Right.
Not only how do I launch it, how do I launch it and how do I keep selling it? How do I grow the sales of it? Building a course, because of the technology today, the various platforms, that is really not the hard part.
Yes.
It's the marketing and the selling of it. And then how do you make it a true profit center in your business as opposed to an albatross around your neck? So talk a little bit, when people come to you, they sign up for some coaching or some programs with you. They either have an idea for a course or they have a course that hasn't been selling or hasn't been selling to the extent that they had hoped. Mm-hmm. What are some of the foundational mistakes before launching the course, when they launch the course, and after they launch the course, that you wish you could eradicate all those mistakes from the face of the earth? What are some of the best ones?
That's a great question. I do want to start with what you said, though, is that I was really committed to creating an A to Z program, David, because a lot of people out there will say, hey, we'll help you create your content and your platform, but they don't do anything with marketing. Then lots of people out there that say, hey, we'll help you with the marketing, but you got to have your content in your course. So I really wanted to create an A to Z, which is the three things you mentioned, which is creating a great course, messaging and marketing that course, and then launching it, like the delivery of it, like how do I actually deliver it well to the audience, right? So all three of those are important. And my model is built on my 4 essential elements, which is transformative content, enrolling messaging. That's before you even get to the marketing, then effective and converting marketing, and then engagement-oriented technology. And by the way, and this is one of my segues into the big first mistake, is those are 4 essential elements. And the fourth one, which is engagement-oriented technology, it's important, but bottom line, it is the least important of the 4. And at the end of the day, not that important. This is one of the biggest mistakes right here, is that people out there that are floating out there, and God bless them, this is just kind of what you just see out there, is as long as I have my content idea and I can just slap together my content and I have the right tech platform, people will magically show up. Like they're sold that. The tech platforms kind of sell, come in and do the tech platform and you're going to create this amazing course. Well, you might be an amazing course for 2 people showing up versus an amazing course with 150 people showing up. So the biggest mistake is people think that if I just select the right platform, then I'm done. And that is the farthest from the truth. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is really thinking that, the content is not as important as the marketing. And you said it in a beautiful way, is that it's really, you can put together your content, but it is really the marketing. However, long term, for raving fan students and people spreading the word, is it still all starts with creating great transformative content, meaning that your online program is transformative in nature. So the mistake that I see a lot, and this mantra that I have, which is we need less information and more transformation. Less information and more transformation. So people, the mistake they make in their content is it's more informational in nature, David. And they're not really thinking through, and they don't necessarily know the model. How do I create a transformative learning arc in my 5, 6, 7, 8 modules of my course? Am I thoughtfully thinking about the pieces that make it more transformational? And I teach that. It's a big part of my particular model, is how do you build that transformational program? And then the final mistake that people make is they freak out about marketing, and in today's world, they think it's just basically, I need to build a list before I even launch I got to have my platform before I launch my course, and I got to have a big list and a social media following, all that. You actually don't need that to start and launch. You don't need any of that. I have students every day that come into Launch Academy with nothing. They follow the model, and they're not aware of the marketing model that I teach. They follow that model, they launch their course, and they've put 2,000 people on their mailing list, and they have 150 people in their very first course. So that's possible. It does help if you have your own following in your list. That absolutely helps, but it's not necessary. So people freak out. David, this is what means they don't actually ever launch their course because they never kind of figure out how to build that list in their following. And then they keep putting the course off until somehow magically that's going to happen. When you launch a course, you're actually building your following in your list as you're launching it. That's the point of it.
That is absolutely huge. That it's not, you can't wait for the impossible prerequisite. Right. The impossible prerequisite's never going to come. And so if you don't start, you'll never build the list and build the following, et cetera. I love that.
That's so cool. And you know what? One of the things I say too is that part of one of my 10 key success factors, I have this little kind of PDF thing. One of them is to actually, as you're starting the commitment to create your course, is that you put your stake in the ground and you set a start date and you work backwards from that. So that puts a lot of kind of positive, supportive pressure on the person to say, okay, I'm going to launch my course. Let's say it's November 1st, right? So it's 4 months out, 5 months out, and you put that in the ground. And then that changes everything versus here's the problem. I'm going to keep creating and working on my course until it's ready. And then I'm going to launch it. I know you're kind of nodding your head and shaking your, yeah. And that's not, we know that in the entrepreneurial space, sometimes you just got to get in the game and just be working it and then fine tuning later. And you do your launch, you get whatever result you get. And then you keep iterating and you keep inventing and you keep shifting things. Yeah.
Wow. So many jumping off points. Let me just jump into the middle. You said something that I think is critically important. I know that you teach and preach this a lot in your programs and in your coaching. Enrolling messaging comes even before the marketing, you said. Yes. So let's define what is enrolling messaging and how does that kind of feed into the whole marketing and launch process?
Yeah, great question. And I'm glad you honed in on that because I do think that what I teach and what I've learned from my mentors, that's the secret sauce. most people can get the content idea and, oh, I get it, Chris. I should have practices and homework assignments and have the community talking to itself and have some live calls with me and to make it transformative and engaging, right? But then most people do not know the messaging piece. So what I use the word enrolling messaging is that you're writing words, your authentic voice about your program from the standpoint, David, from the perspective of your ideal student having a powerful transformational experience. See, so you switch it. Now it's not just me being a teacher saying, this is so great, you got to take this program, to flipping it and saying, my ideal customer, which I call your course avatar, is a person. It's a profile of somebody, but it's literally Susie or Sam. Your messaging really begins with you thinking about who is this person that is my ideal student for my course, and how do I talk to them in terms of their felt experience in their life. And so that messaging, why I call it enrolling messaging, is when you do it right in kind of the structure that I teach, the person is actually enrolling themselves, David. They're saying, yes, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, you nailed me there. And oh my God, that's the problem I'm facing. I really want this aspirational thing in my life. And they're literally having a conversation in their own head. We do this all the time when we read things, right? So they're reading it and they're enrolling themselves, meaning yes, 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 yes. And then so by the time they see the offer and they're way more oriented to saying, this is the course for me, than just some kind of pablum thing of like, this course is great because I'm a great teacher and you're going to, that just doesn't land anymore. It's too much from the perspective of the teacher, not from the perspective of the ideal student.
Hey, this interview is a real moneymaker. If you're serious about ramping up your reach and revenue as a speaker, trainer, or expert, book a confidential speaker strategy call with our team. The link is doitmarketing.com/call. It will be the most valuable 45 minutes you invest in your speaking-driven business. Speaking of value, let's get back to the show. Now, let me ask you something also. A lot of people, when they think of online course, they think of it is a digital-only product. There is no contact with the amazing Chris Kyle. I can't talk to Chris. I will never see Chris. I'll see Chris maybe in some of the videos. I'll see Chris in maybe the training portal. I get emails from Chris. I might get some consumption emails like, hey, you're 2 weeks into the program. Have you really enjoyed module 2? You said that there is access to the guru. You said that there is a community. So it sounds like the kind of course experience, and I want to separate course from course experience. The course experience is not a digital only, hey, welcome to the portal, good luck, you're on your own. Talk about what are the building blocks of that transformative experience with access to you, the guru, with a community component, with an engagement component. What should we be thinking about in addition to the digital modules?
This is my kind of where I just love to live in terms of how I teach and how I encourage people to launch courses, programs. You're right, exactly on. The mindset is that if I create an online course, it's just there 24/7. What we call an evergreen program. There's no access to the teacher, no access to other students. It's just you have videos and a workbook and good luck. I want to just hit people so that this, and I want the audience to get this, is those kind of products. And so the 3 categories of the online learning space is an online product, a learning product, which is a box product. It's just a box product. 2 is live online courses. And a lot of people get that and understand that. That's my sweet spot. The last one is a blended learning model where it's in person. And then I have some interactive online components, right? So I come to a couple of retreats and then we do a lot of stuff online. That's it. Those are the 3 really possibilities. Most of the stuff out there is the product. That's on Udemy and Coursera and all those platforms. And to be honest, as an experience, they suck. And we know the stats are very clear that those kind of programs that you go buy a course, it's just the box stuff, no access to anybody, the completion rates are way less than 10%. We're running at about 5 to 8% of students that buy it complete it. And that sucks. If you're a teacher and you want to have impact and you want to do it, bottom line is then only 5% of your people are finishing it. So it's just a crappy experience.
Well, it's even worse though. So yes, 5 to 8% completion. My frustration when I used to do those is forget about completion. How about results?
Oh,
How
yeah,
about
right.
Success?
Yes.
So 5 to 8% even finish the thing.
I know. And like 1%.
Less than 1% get any kind of result ever.
That's
So
right.
your programs now have a 99% zero result rate.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was unacceptable to me.
Me too. And so what I do know is I know they're all out there, and I don't want to tell a teacher not to ever have the product. There is a place for the product.
Yeah.
Very defined mini course just gets you into it, gets you a taste of it. That can work. Especially if it's easy to digest, you'll have more of a completion rate if it's just 3 videos and a little workbook, right? People will finish it. But however, in Launch Academy and what I teach is I teach everybody to start with and launch a live online course. What that means is that you have a start date and an end date to your course. That means that a cohort comes in and is working with you because you're available. And get this is important about a transformative learning experience. Literally in the education world, there's a model for transformative learning. I'm not just making it up. And that is what we call the learning community. So you have your theory and your ideas you teach, you have praxis, which is a fancy word for practice, and then you have your learning community. And so students learn as much from each other and sharing things as they do from the teacher. So when you run a live online course, guess what? You've got a weekly call where you're on Zoom as the teacher and you are engaging the community in sharing with each other, sharing out what was this experience of this last module and what did you learn? What did you get? And then they're learning and sharing with each other and building a sense of energy and momentum to finish the course. Because it's kind of like light accountability is I'm in this with 100 other people and I don't want to look stupid, whatever. I want to keep going because I'm hearing these other people having these good experiences. I want to keep doing that too. And so live online courses can have well over 50% completion rates and some even more, depending on the price point. That's a big part of the completion rate. But that's a big difference from 5% to well over 50% that are completing the course. And it's still not a perfect game, right? It's in the online world, even live amazing courses, you're not going to get 100% of the people completing the course. It just doesn't happen. Well, like in high school and college and all the people that drop out, right? So,
exactly.
Right.
Well, you just dropped a little sidebar comment there that I want to follow up on. Are you saying that a $297 course is not going to have as much of a completion rate as, say, a $2,000 course?
Yeah, it's just the psychology of human beings about investment, right? If I'm investing more of my money, and then I'm going to actually be truly committed to investing more of my time and want to finish. So yeah, a $297 course is a sweet spot. So people probably might have seen this as they're seeing all these courses. If you have a live 7-week online course, $297 to $397 is a perfect, great price point. It's been proven for 10 plus years. It's like that price point hasn't even shifted because it works so well. But then somebody might have a 3-month or a 6-month or something longer that is $2,000 or $3,000 or even $5,000. And the completion rates are way higher. I mean, in those levels of 3,000 and above, you might have an 80, 90% completion rate of the course. But here's the thing that I'm like you, David, is me and my team, we don't care about completion rates. You know what we care about? Launch rates. That is our total focus is, if you complete the course and you don't launch, that's not success to us. They've gone through all the modules, they've gone through all the materials and they're like, yeah, I learned it all, but I didn't launch. So we track sort of completion rates, but we're much more committed and have our students share out when they launch. That's kind of the stat we're looking at is how many people launch out of our programs. That's like you said, that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
Get the course out there.
I love what you said about popularizing and democratizing this concept of an online course for experts and consultants and coaches and speakers. The capital L launch methodology that a lot of these gurus have been teaching for 10 plus years, a lot of consultants and coaches and speakers, they find that exhausting. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I'm constantly making videos. I'm constantly, doing social media. I'm blasting my list. I'm doing Facebook ads. I'm doing Google ads. I'm doing YouTube. I'm doing live streams now. I'm doing all this kind of stuff. The launch insanity, where you have to be doing 17 different things, all simultaneous. You have to be using these very complicated systems with tags and funnels and branches and How have you democratized and or streamlined the launch process where an average person can do it without having a degree from MIT and a staff of 10 people to do all the tech work?
That is so true. That was exactly about, when I was doing my work coming out of Evolving Wisdom, I really paid attention to how they were doing it. And some of my mentors like Craig and Claire and even Lisa Sasevich and others, there are other programs out there that are very complicated. That's my belief. They work if you do it really well, but very, very few people can make it work really well out of the gate. Very few. And I know that from stats. Now, people that eventually kind of get more of a system and they learn in different ways and they have a little team and they go back to do that, sure. Yeah, then that can work. So what I've done is really kept it super simple. And then it's a place for people to build to get more sophisticated over time, right? So the way that I teach it is super simple, is that you create a powerful free event, a free webinar, masterclass, free online event, whatever you call it. You create that, which people love to teach, that hour-long free webinar. And then the model is, the simple flow of that is, I launch that webinar. Then at the end of my webinar, make an offer into my course, and then people sign up to the course. And then I just have a course registration sales page, and that's it. That's the whole model. And then there's some emails that go into signing up for the webinar, and there's some emails that come out of the webinar that get you enrolled into the course. And it just takes the pressure off people to say, oh my God, I got to do all these things and have 3+ videos and then cart open, cart closed, and then have all these emails. And, it gets complicated. And so I've simplified it so that people that are especially new to the whole space get it intuitively, and it's pretty easy. And then my first starting point is that they develop what we call marketing partners or joint venture partners to help them market it. And they go into their network, and most people are surprised when they actually listen to me and they breathe and they don't immediately say, I don't know anybody. And they go out into their network and they have 1 degree of separation or their own network. And they're surprised at who is out there that is willing to support them, that has their own community or list for free. And then it's just about a relationship over time that you might return the favor for them later, that kind of thing. So this partnering model is very common. And it's the starting point. It's the foundation that's easy to do, doesn't cost any money. It's not Facebook ads or Google PPC or anything like that. It's building relationships. And these relationships are awesome. And they're sometimes inspiring, and that sometimes partners can be partners for life. I have a partner/friend who's been with me since 2010. We've been supporting and working with each other for 10+ years. And then some come, some go, and then some are brand new from this year. And that is the model that everybody kind of tells me is, oh, I get it, Chris. And it's not that hard. And this is a great starting point. And I just launched my course and I put 2,000 people on my list and I have 100 people in my course. That happens all the time without them having to do any whiz bang sort of marketing and pre-marketing and all that.
Yeah.
And then everything can build on that, David. Then you can go experiment with Facebook ads. You can create a podcast like you're doing here and then kind of invite people from the podcast into your free experience. There is lots of ways to build off that, but this becomes the foundation that most people can get and have success with.
Yeah, really powerful. Now, you mentioned ads is at some point going beyond the organic, going beyond the joint venture partners and the kind of friends and supporters who want to promote you and who will promote you. Do you recommend ads? Do you teach the whole pay-per-click advertising component? Or that's really kind of, hey, once you've scaled past a certain point and you want to throw some fuel on the fire, then you want to look into ads, but you're not the ads guy. You're not the one that's going to show them how to do that.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in just talking to lots of colleagues out there. And especially in the space, if we're talking about people that want to kind of create change in people's life, more of a transformational experience in the sense of, hey, I teach this and I want my students to have some shift in their life. That whole arena of personal development, professional development, and all that. And the price points that we're talking about, $297 or up, I actually don't see that ads are really working very well. Facebook ads or other ads, even to a certain degree, depending on your content, LinkedIn could work, but not LinkedIn ads. It's a whole different strategy in LinkedIn, right? It's about making these connections and things. I did a whole thing last year where my team invested in our company for 5+ months with a consultant, for Facebook consultant and the ad spend and all that. And we couldn't crack the code to make it really make sense. Especially it was election time, David. So Facebook's algorithm was all over the map. They shut our account down for like a week. We had to open it back up. So it's just the algorithm and the changes that consistently happen there. It's really set up. I know it can work for some people, for certain products, some people it can work. Like things that are related to health and diet and special diets, the Galveston diet, those kinds of things just really work. But it's harder if it's more like even online courses. It just didn't land for people and we didn't have a great result. So I don't recommend it out of the gate. I would recommend it, after you've launched your course a few times, you really know your peeps. And then if you want to play with the ad space, then you've got to hire a consultant. You cannot do it on your own. It's now almost impossible because our consultant watched the ads every day, and they knew how to kind of flag it and change something because the algorithm changes so quickly. It's stressful. And I have lots of colleagues that continue to just build massive businesses on JV partners and partnering models, and also on things like podcasts and LinkedIn connections and strategies there that aren't ad-based, right? So I would even think that SEO, kind of natural, like you said, organic search would be a better investment than the ad world. That's just my opinion. And you'd have to really look at your product and your program, and if it's more suited to Facebook in some way, form, or fashion, something simple, like how to create great photography. Stuff like that is like really wins on Facebook. And usually it's a small price point of a $37 little thing that you get, then they're in the pipeline. It gets much more sophisticated. There's key marketing funnels you need to create. So I don't recommend it, as it's definitely second or third phase for an online course creator.
For sure. Let me go back into this concept of the transformative course experience, because another word that we hear quite a lot these days, I'm truly not sure if it's a gimmick or if there's some merit and some engagement and some sticky factor to it. People say, Chris, I'm going to gamify my course. It's all about gamification. I want to have points and a scoreboard and a leaderboard and rewards and bells and dings and stars and stickers. And I want to make people have an awesome experience. I want to use human psychology to motivate them to complete the course and implement the course and share their wins and get results. What's your snapshot of the world of kind of gamification of courses? Mm-hmm. Is it nonsense? Is there some merit to it? Is there some middle ground?
There's definitely merit to it. And it still will come down to what is your content in your arena and your audience that feels like kind of bringing more gamification would help your particular audience get excited and motivated. Certain other audience, particularly in the whole spiritual, personal development, all that space where somebody's really coming in to learn about this practice or this meditation thing, or about shamanism, or about energy body work, or about vibrant, healthy living, but from a different, non-allopathic approach. The teacher is like real deal teacher, real quality, all that. So there's like a whole arena of that. But then there are other things that are around building your business, and maybe the crowd's a little bit younger, maybe kind of 30s, 40s, 50s, rather than sort of 50s, 60s, 70s. So if your crowd's younger, they're maybe more oriented to gaming and to wanting a game. So my take is that I don't teach any of that in Launch Academy because, again, David, it just complicates things. Yeah. My whole goal is, what is the core way to launch where you have success, and then you can build from there. So what I do believe in the sort of gamification is actually having like check boxes and having quizzes and having the progress bar, things like that. That's all part of gamification. But what it does is it does create motivation, right? Oh, I'm 35% of the way there, and now I'm 55. So those are simple things, and I build that in Launch Academy. But we've been thinking about having sort of badges of things that they actually do along the way that are more than just the learning, but they actually do it. Like we teach about how to do these avatar interviews, interviewing your avatar, your course avatar. So I'm imagining, what if on certain key practices they got a badge? But I know my audience, they might just kind of cringe at that a little bit. I don't need a badge. I just need to launch my course. So I think we've got some of the gamification pieces, but going over the top and saying that this whole thing needs to be gamified and funny and playful, I don't believe that. I mean, I see too many stories of great teachers offering amazing courses. They're authentic, and the students love it, and they complete the course at high rates, and there's no gamification in that.
Right.
It live, like access on a Zoom call and using like Zoom breakouts and interaction, that is 10 times more impactful than any gamification thing you can do. But it's not as scalable, David. We know that. It means you've got to launch, and you got to be there for 7 weeks in a row on that hour-long call each week, which is awesome, fine. But it's not the 365, available all around the clock. That's the great possibility that people hold, that you were saying at the beginning, is I'll just create this course and I'll put it up on my site, and magically people start signing up in the middle of the night, and I make thousands and thousands of dollars throughout the month on those. For people in their first launching the stuff, that never, ever happens. I guarantee you. I've been doing this 10 years. And when you're new and you do a fully evergreen program and you put it up there, I've never heard anybody kill it as a newbie. Do you know what I mean? Now, Somebody's been doing it a while, and then they create this awesome product. They want it evergreen. They already have a list of 20,000 people. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not saying that it can work there, but people that are just getting new into it, I so can impress upon that the first bunch of times, launch it live, and then you can make a decision on where you go from there.
Absolutely. Well, and it's funny, I tell people my journey with online courses, which sadly was long before you and I met, which sadly,
Right.
I could have saved years and probably made hundreds of thousands of dollars if you and I had met earlier. But I used to beat myself up and sort of publicly have a little self-deprecating humor. When I started doing live-led courses back in 2009, before I recorded anything, I did this one program 13 times live led. 13 times, same program live led. I would do it 2 or 3 times a year. Started in 2009. The first time it occurred to me to maybe record something was 2013.
Yeah.
So it was like late 2009, early 2013. By that point, I had done the course 13 times live led. And what I found, Chris, is every time I did it, it got better and better and tighter and leaner and meaner, and clients got better and better and better results. So I shudder to think that just coming out of the gate, having no live led experience, this is you as the teacher, having no live led experience, you start recording something, that is no way going to be anywhere near as good. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, in my case, overachiever, 13 times live led before recording in any sort of fixed format, anything.
That is such a great testimonial to you personally saying that worked for you. People had a great result. They loved the experience. That is what my students, when they get out of that mindset that you said at the beginning, which is I'll somehow create this course that anybody can take at any time and magically they'll show up. When they launch it live, they have the exact same experience that you had, which is this is more engaging, it's more exciting, and I'm learning what works and didn't work. My students are giving me direct real-time feedback. I do assessment and survey at the end of the course to just see what's happening. And I even give people a sample survey, literally all the questions that they can put up on a Google form or put up in SurveyMonkey to make sure they're constantly getting that feedback. And when it's live, those folks are happy to give the feedback because they just went through a live experience. And that, even for me in Launch Academy, I've been running it a little over 5 years, and I have literally tweaked it pretty significantly every year, David. I make that commitment. I changed the videos, I changed the structure. It used to be kind of a launch model, and I realized that's not where I wanted to go. And this is where people can actually explore this hybrid evergreen, which is I do have all this live stuff, but then everything is pre-recorded. So it's a combination of, it's a flipped classroom, David, right? So I go in and I learn, and I know exactly what I need to teach in those videos because I've been doing it for so many years. To your point, right? They're really good. And then coming out of that, when they come and show up to the inner circle calls, they are expected to do the work. And then we just do coaching and interaction, and they ask questions. I don't have to spend all the time teaching. Although, here's the beauty is if you're a teacher and you're afraid of the camera, just teach live too. You just teach live for like 30 minutes, and then you move right into Q&A and interactive stuff. And then that video becomes your recording video for that module.
That's right.
And you can do that a few times. The other way people do it that I teach is totally fine is you have your teaching video, pure teaching video with your slide deck or PowerPoint or whatever you want. And then the live calls create more time for interaction, practice, Q&A, coaching. That live coaching, I call it fishbowl coaching, right? It's group coaching. Where somebody steps up and I want to do work on this piece. Great. And then I coach them with everybody listening and watching. And then everybody learns. So it's not like you even have to coach every single person that shows up on that live call, just a handful. And then everybody will get a tremendous value by watching you in the fishbowl work with a person. So that's another mistake that people make is, my thing is so focused on in-person and one-on-one, and I just don't think I can turn in an online course. And that's just not true anymore. I mean, unless you literally are doing cranial sacral work or massage work, and that's all you want to do, you got to have the body there and it's got to be one-on-one. But if you're teaching somebody how to do cranial sacral work or whatever, you can still do it. You can have a model with a camera on it. You can kind of teach them and show them. You can have videos that get really close into how your hands are. And then you can have people practice on the live call, or you can have them share their experience from something you asked them to do that week. So very engaging in that way.
Super quick commercial break. Isn't this interview amazing? If you'd like to get more ideas on how to start or grow your speaking business fast, pop over to our free training at doitmarketing.com/webinar. Let me ask you this about the community. And I guess there's some debate about this. I'll give you a couple things and feel free to respond to any or all. Number one, community should not be on Facebook. The course portal should have its own community. Keep them in the community, keep them in your own real estate, so to speak, or put it on Facebook because they're going on Facebook anyway. So there's a technology. Is it in the course? Is it out of the course? People don't want to connect with other people, right? They signed up to be with Chris Kyle. They want Chris Kyle time. They don't want to learn from like Susan and Brenda and Bob over here who are just as lost or clueless as they are. Yeah. So, why would I waste my time with them? I really signed up to be with you, to be with Chris, the guru. Yeah. So there's that. And then I guess the third piece is, people at different levels have nothing to teach or learn from each other. So someone who's very advanced, maybe in the course world, who comes to work with you, someone who's never even heard of what a real online course looks like, they're in the same group. There's going to be some discontent, or there's going to be, oh my God, so-and-so is so advanced. He's so intimidating. Why are these newbies in the program with me? And it's going to cause some refunds or some problems because people don't feel that they're with a like-minded group. Respond to any or all of that craziness.
Yeah. The community. Well, first, let's just start with community. Learning in community and having other people going through it is, I've been doing this 11 plus years, and I've also been teaching in person in other settings. And it's just indispensable for a better experience and for a sense of, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing it with other kind of like-minded people in some form or fashion. And especially if your teaching arena is kind of sort of narrow-ish, which it should be, then people are wanting to do the similar. They have similar aspiration. They have similar things that they want to move through. So community is critical for engagement, which is always the buzzword in the online learning world. Greater engagement, more engagement, more engagement. And how do you create that? That's why so many people are in the gamification arena, which I think is going over the top, because it's just like, okay, is that really going to help? But the community is critical. So what I do in Launch Academy and encourage my students, it's one of two ways, is you got to have some community portal. So some of the tech platforms now, like for example, our tech partner is Kajabi, and they have a community portal in there. You can just add that to inside so that people can share and discussion forum and all that stuff. So you can build that like within the technology of the course itself and the platform. And you can also have a private Facebook group. So what we have chosen to do is to have a private Facebook group, because you said it right there, is it's easy. It's already there. A lot of those people are already in Facebook. They just click over to the group. They check something out. How could I beat Facebook in terms of its ability to allow them all kinds of features and to get the emails about what's posted there, all that. So full control. But I'm also know a lot of my students are like that, starting to like be anti-Facebook, Facebook. So I'm watching and listening. But for now, it's the easier format long-term. And it's still private. It's not a public group. It's a private group just for the people in Launch Academy. And it's just more robust. So we do that. Most of my students will use Facebook. Some, if they're looking at other platforms like MeWe, which is a social platform, or using the discussion forum portal in Kajabi or other platforms. But bottom line is have community. I think the blend is that works so well is there'll always be access to me. So there's access to the guru and connection to the community because there's collective wisdom. I am blown away when I do my inner circle calls, which are part of Launch Academy. So there's these kind of group coaching calls. I do a little mastermindy stuff in there, David. And what that means is somebody will ask a question. I'll do a little work with them, and then I'll open it to the whole group and either use the chat or use, hey, would you like 3 pieces of feedback of what you just shared from 3 people? David, I am constantly blown away by the wisdom and the ideas and the suggestions that come from the group that I didn't think of. So there's a limit to me as guru. I've got all these great ideas, but sometimes I'm not tuned in like somebody else who might know their audience really well, better than I, and say, well, what about this? And how about that? And then I'm like, that's really, really good. Yeah. That's the power of community, hugely, that it'll help make people's programs better, help create motivation and movement through the program. and just kind of like camaraderie, right? And we have fun too.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, Chris, you and I could talk for hours and hours about this. This has been so valuable, so insightful. I know that people want to get connected and stay connected to more Chris Kyle brilliance. Find out about Launch Academy, get some free resources, some links, some gifts. What can we leave people with to help them continue this journey?
Your questions were so insightful and right on. So I've really enjoyed this. So if people want to learn more about me and also about Launch Academy, the easiest place is to go to chriskyle.com, chriskyle.com, CHRISKYLE. Some people know it as this was the famous Sniper, American Sniper. That was his name. So it's kind of weird. I still get that occasionally. And then I've got a gift for you. So I've got a gift for you all. And you can go get my free ebook by going to chriskyle.com/ebook. No hyphens or anything, ebook. And that's where you can get my free ebook on the 5 things you need to know to launch a successful online course. So that's really helpful and good stuff in there. And then if you want to learn more about Launch Academy, you can go to the information page. Very simple at www.launchacademycourse, Launch Academy course, no spaces in there, .com, launchacademycourse.com. And I just want to say, David, too, that one of the things I'm going to come all the way back to one of your first questions is what I am noticing now that through the global pandemic coming out of this is that literally what's so surprising to so many people and teachers alike and students of online courses is that millions and millions and millions of more people tasted their first online course over the last 18 months, their first. And believe me, lots of people have held an old image from 5 years, 10 years ago of these teleseminar things and just boring. I get the teacher just talks at you all the time and there's no interesting engagement in the platform and all that. That has changed so much, especially with technology like Zoom, where you video and breakout groups and other technologies you can use. And so I just want to leave with everybody that what's so amazing is not just your desire to create an online course, which I hope you do, but there are millions and millions of more people who are ready now that weren't before to say, I'm ready to take your course, or I need that. And that is huge. And that would have taken maybe, more of a year's kind of thing. And the pandemic just condensed that into 1 year of blowing the doors open. So if you don't have an online course, if you're teaching, you've got content, you've got some kind of program that you think you could put online. If you don't have an online course, you're missing out. It's just as simple as that, hugely. And I don't say that kind of pandering anyway. It's just, I see it time and time again. My students launching these courses, having great success, and their students love the program.
Absolutely. And I totally agree. There's a pent-up demand now. If you have any sort of business right now as a consultant, coach, expert, facilitator, healer, any of those kinds of things, and you do not have an online course, trust me, there is a sub-segment of your audience that is waiting, credit card in hand. Man, the moment Chris Kyle gets an online course, I love his blog. I love his Facebook Lives. I read all of his emails. I wish he had a course. There are people right now saying to you about you, I wish you had a course. Not Chris, because Chris has all kinds of great things, but you, the listener, I wish you had a course. And there is a pent-up demand. When you put that out there in front of people, I love what you just said, Chris. We've aged 5 years. The online course business in the last 18 months has leapt ahead by 5 years. And I completely agree with you. Folks that are not investing in building an online course or an online course experience of the kind that we talked about are hugely missing out. They're missing out. And the sad thing is that your community is missing out. Your audience and fans and followers and subscribers are missing out because the course that they want to buy, you have not created yet.
Yes.
But you will if you follow my friend Chris Kyle.
Thank you, David. It's so beautiful. Well said.
So really great to have you here. And I hope that people do take advantage of both of those resources. And again, those will be in the show notes right under this episode. Chris's free ebook, which is fantastic, very detailed, chriskyle.com/ebook. And then the other link that Chris shared is launchacademycourse.com. Both of the links directly under this episode at thespeakingshow.com. Chris Kyle, great to have you. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for all the value bombs.
Thank you so much, David. It was so fun being with you here today. And I really appreciate your style and approach to interviewing. This was awesome. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.